What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Good morning. Welcome to your latest dose of transfer news. We've got a lot to talk about. Owen, fresh hot off the press on Sky Sports News. We love the guys at Sky. They are amazing. We love working with them, but they made us late. They're a disgrace. They're a cheat. They did make us late for the show this morning, but it's all good. We're here now. We are here now with a whole load of stuff to talk about. You guys smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what your thoughts are on today's game, on today's protest, and of course the transfers as well. Get involved in the chat. Owen, man, double deal. Double
Double
transfers.
deal. Yeah. You know what's
Mm.
funny about this actually is that Ajax kind of pointed it out last night, didn't he? When he said, wait a minute, you're willing to spend 130, 135 million for João Felix. You're going to reportedly pay 100 million euros for Antony and 35 million pounds, possibly a little bit more for Cody Hakpo. Why can't you get both? And Manchester United were thinking the exact same thing, apparently, because it's been reported in the Telegraph in Holland that Manchester United want to sign both Antony and Cody Hakpo. It's not a choice between the two. Hakpo knows about the interest, but wants to focus on the game versus Rangers first. Meanwhile, in the coming 48 hours, Manchester United will decide whether or not they want to put in that improved bid for Antony. Now, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted about this morning and expanded slightly, saying that Manchester United are in contact with Antony's agents as the deal now depends on Ajax's decision. Key days ahead, Flex. Key days ahead, while Cody Hakpo's camp is also in direct contact with Manchester United for the last 2 weeks. Hakpo has always been on United's list. Also, he has the same agents as Eric Ten Hag. And as I mentioned, the coming 48 hours will decide whether Antony gets signed by Manchester United. That comes from Marcel van der Kraan in the Telegraph. So both, Flex, both. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've got energy for both. I mean, some people really didn't agree with me yesterday, basically saying that Cody Gakpo is a Dutch Rashford, and there's this chalk and cheese between Owen's gone. It's chalk and cheese between him and Antony. And for me, if we can get both, I'll be happy with that. I'll be happy with that in terms of two complete new wingers to completely change the way that we play and have a whole different outlook in both positions. Not saying I've given up on Jadon Sancho. That's not what I'm saying. Um, I know a lot of people have given up on Marcus Rashford, and I won't jump ship just yet. I'll stick to what I've always said about Rashford this season, which is that this is the season. Got to show something, or it's exit, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether you think it should be now or whatever we think, he's obviously here. So I think two new wingers coming in, if that was the case, would show us a statement of intent, not giving the club praise for doing it this late and stuff like that. Park that, but I mean, it would show an intent to the two players in those positions in Rashford and Sancho in terms of your place is not secure, especially Antony coming in. If Antony comes in for that amount of money, he's starting. He's
Not only is
the
he
starter.
starting, he starts on the right, and then Sancho could ease because this is the problem with
Go on
United,
the
isn't it?
left.
He's a left-hand sided player. But then if you sign Antony and he plays on the right, and then so like you said, he starts and Sancho gets put out to the left, you then got a situation where you've got Sancho, Rashford, and possibly Cody Hakpo if you sign all three. Plus
That's what I'm saying.
plus Garnacho, you're still lopsided. We're still very
Yeah.
lopsided, but at least we do have one player that legitimately can play on the right hand side, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it just gives way more options, which is what we need. And like I said, that shake up. Ronaldo, okay, we know what's going on there. Will he, won't he? All of that stuff. But there's backup there with Martial. Not that Ronaldo's looking over his shoulder, scared of Martial, but as it stands, there's one there. And they said that Cody Gakpo can't really play up front. That's not him, and obviously neither can Antony. So that
Mm.
Martial will be the backup. But when you look at the wing positions, how many times have we said? First of all, we are one injury away from disaster.
Yeah.
But
And that's assuming that
secondly,
they're playing well. That's
that's
assuming
what I
that
was
that's
just about
assuming
to
they're
say.
playing well. Exactly. Form.
Secondly,
Yeah.
form when they're just playing rubbish, who else you got? It's not like we're jumping to say Alanga's got to play. Okay, we are kind of jumping at the fact of Garnacho, just give him a chance. I get that, but in reality, he's a young player. Not played in the first team. So we need those two options. So if we did get both, I think it's a big statement to those two players to show them in Sancho and Rashford, we ain't messing. Like if you're not playing, you're both out.
100%. I mean, in those games, the first two games we've had, both guys have failed to really, and I know most players, all of the players have played poorly, but they were involved in that as well. Eric Ten Hag, especially, you forget that game against Brentford, but the game against Brighton, if he'd have had an Antony and a Cody Gakpo in his squad, he'd have made those subs so fast. I mean, we criticised him for making the subs late on, but possibly it's because he looked to the bench and went, who do I bring on? Are they really going to affect the game? I think that given their two performances so far, Sancho and Rashford, if we had Antony and Gakpo today, they'd probably play against Liverpool tonight, honestly, because he'd be like, well,
Yeah,
the other two played rubbish. So I'll give them a go. And we know as well, we're going to get to later on, just in a couple of months' time, when we're playing Europa League football, Sancho and Rashford are going to play those games plus the Premier League games without getting injured, plus with good or bad form. We are so light up front, and everyone kind of said it in pre-season, but the real big eye opener for me was when we are really, really light. And again, it works with the assumption that Sancho is going to be good this season, and we don't know. We just don't know. So we need those just for strength and depth, but we also need them for quality. And again, when you do think about it, Ajax was totally spot on last night. And this is a problem with Glazonomics, isn't it? When you try and add things up, a lot of the time they don't make sense. But if you want to spend 135 million for João Felix, 100 million for Antony, 30 odd million for Cody Gakpo, that's strength in depth, that's attack. And then when you do consider the other positions that we need, we can't even rule out getting another striker if Ronaldo leaves. They're still looking at a possible number 6 in terms of a deep line playmaker. We might have to replace Aaron Wan-Bissaka for competition for Diogo Dalot. The goalkeeping situation, we're still linked with backup goalkeepers. We're how many days left from the transfer window shut in? Like 10 or something from the transfer window shut in. And there's like 5 positions we still probably need to recruit for in 10 days. You're looking at doing a deal every couple of days. It's panic stations do not even cover it. What is going on?
It's an
do you think about
understatement.
it? You think about it, like again, 5 positions, 10 days for a
It's a
team that
race
does deals
against it's a
solely.
race against the clock. I just want to big up Josh on the buttons in the background, just working in real time and just doing Josh things. So big up to Josh. Always on point with the production, even when there's gremlins in the system. And big up to everyone in the comments, letting us know if there's little issues as well. So big up. I agree with you. I agree with you. We're in a position where we now need to work at a rapid pace, a pace that actually should have been way more strategic, a pace that should have been a lot quicker, a lot earlier, and probably wouldn't have had to be as rushed if we would have done this earlier. If we wanted to go for Gakpo and we know we wanted Antony earlier, then why didn't they just be decisive and do it straight off the back of Martinez? Because I get it, our priority was a centre back. Our other priority was a number 6, which was why we was linked with Frenkie de Jong as the first player to be linked with in general. But once it became really difficult, why did we not just accelerate in other areas quicker than this? It just seems like we've accelerated, obviously, because of the 2 losses. It would have been so interesting to see if we would have won our first 2 games and had 6 points on the board. What would our strategy be? Because I think it would have been, well, I'll tell you what, Eriksen's been good. That proves that's all right, and that's on a free. Oh, that little kid Malacia, I'll tell you what, we haven't even had to use him. It's been 2 games and 2 wins, so that was only 13 million. You can keep him cooking there. So that's not, and Martinez is 55 million pounds or 56 million pounds well spent so far. 2 wins, 2 losses. I'll tell you what, we'll chill, wait till January and have a look. I think it'll probably be that.
I think clearly, people said, "Oh, well, the money clearly was always there, but the desire to spend it probably wasn't." I think they thought, this season will probably hurt a little bit financially because we're not in the Champions League. We'll get some of these players. Hopefully, we'll get top 4, and then next season we can spend a lot of money. And clearly, finally, they've come to the same realization that a lot of people have when we realize that we are really short. This squad, one, lacks the quality, but it will not stretch the entire season. It just won't. They're not good enough. And everyone else around us has got better. Nowadays, it's not a given that you can get in the top 4 or even top 6 at this point with the amount of quality of these other sides in the Premier League and how they're recruiting and the spending power that they have. In the 90s and early 2000s, no one can spend like Manchester United and we just buy the best players from the Premier League. It doesn't work like that anymore. And we have to kind of check ourselves a little bit, because sometimes we enter these transfer windows with almost arrogance, really. Oh, we can get these players. Oh, we want Frenkie de Jong from Barcelona. Well, they want to come to Manchester United. They don't. Times have changed. It has moved on. And you're competing with multiple clubs for players, and Manchester United isn't always the most attractive option, especially when we're not in the Champions League, especially when you lack the facilities that other clubs have, especially when you lack, we've got a great coach, but so do other clubs. Other clubs have great coaches now, and they win things, and Manchester United don't. So clearly, those within United now come to the conclusion that all of us have, that we're short and we need players. And you can almost imagine, can't you, that Erik ten Hag has probably been saying throughout the entirety of the summer, I need players. I need players. And now, after those two results, he's gone, see, I really need players. But I was thinking this yesterday, Flex, if we get, say it comes to the end of the season and we miss out on the top 4 by 6 points, you will look at those first 2 games and say they were winnable games. It was
Yeah,
Brighton at home and
100%.
Brentford away. And then that should be on the board. That's not on the
Yeah,
manager. That is on the board, because you would say, well, that's what happens. And
yeah,
knowing how things go in the Premier League, you absolutely could miss out on the Champions League by 6
yeah.
points.
The
It could be
margins,
those
the
first 2
margins are
games.
getting finer and finer every year.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why we should be in a situation. This is what always happens here at Manchester United, whether it's the signing of one player or the group of signings, or whether we get links or leaks sort of things, or stuff in the media that says Man United want to spend this much in the window. And what happens is we should be rejoicing. We should be saying, fantastic, you know, 2 young up and coming players that the club wants and stuff like that. A lot of people want Antony, etc. Should be a bit of a buzz. Yeah, we're getting 2 new forwards. Yes, we're going to spend the money. Rebuild needs to happen. But when it's under these circumstances, and there's a massive protest going on today for this exact reason, and we will not lose sight of that. We will talk about
No.
that a little bit later, because there's more riding on today's game than just that, than just 3 points. But it actually links to this, what I'm saying. We're never in a position to do so and just be happy. We even signed Casemiro, a high
Yeah.
caliber player. Yes, I've expressed how's he going to fit in and be interesting, but essentially a player of his caliber coming to Manchester United, even if the people from the outside want to say it's for money and people outside want to say he's 35, it's another stopgap. Whatever you want to say, he's still a very high caliber player. And if you was to say at the beginning of the window, if you was to say when the final whistle was blown after the Champions League final, if you used to say in that moment when Casemiro had his armpit hairs out and was lifting up the cup, yeah, don't know if he's got armpit hairs, he might
I
shave,
was going to say,
but
yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean. But you get
ideal.
what I'm saying. My point. If we was to say in that moment, United are going to go for him, everyone would say, "What's even the point? He's just won a 5th Champions
We
League. You're
did.
never going to get
We
it."
did. I mean,
We laughed.
Let alone the Champions League final. Well, just a couple of last week.
We laughed. Me and
We
you
said,
both
yeah,
laughed.
we said, why would he want to come to Manchester United? And
Yeah,
it does feel like one of the big prevailing reasons was money. It was financially motivated. Yes,
yeah.
new challenge. Yes, I've won everything there is to win at Real Madrid. Yes, there were younger people ahead of me, and Real Madrid are evolving in their midfield. And yes, Real Madrid also want the money to make an offer for Jude Bellingham next summer. There were other reasons, but make no mistake, the
It's
thing
because
that
it's
turned
5
his
years,
head,
5 year
the thing,
deal,
yeah,
30
the
years
thing
of
that turned
age.
his head was, like you said, 5-year deal, not doubled the salary, but a significant improvement on his salary. And he went, all right, I'll go to the Premier League.
But that doesn't necessarily mean, just in the case of Casemiro, because I know we're not actually talking about him as a thing, because we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But
Mm.
on him, just because you talk about it, that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't work hard, he won't be a
No,
good fit.
no,
Those are things that, yes, I accept. If you're a professional footballer and your career is short, if Man United come and you've got 3 years left of your Real Madrid deal and you can increase your money and get a 5-year deal. Plus, you've been on the phone to Rafael
yeah,
Varane, which I read today, and stuff like that. Ronaldo's
mhm,
there, and it's still Man United. There's enough in it for you to say, well, listen, don't get me wrong. If it goes wrong, he'll be like, I'm on big money and big wages. I'm secure. I've got that
guaranteed.
security. Yeah, I'm on guaranteed. So actually, I'm guaranteed and I'm secure. So now I can focus on giving my all and being a professional, which I have been my whole career, which nobody questions his professionalism and his attitude
No,
and his winning mentality. I can focus on that because I'm actually secure. Or
mm,
the other way around could be, like people say, he comes here on a jolly up and gets his cigars out and is just chilling in a Manchester United team that's been really, really struggling. Little bit of news here regarding the Telegraph out there. in Holland. Just a lot of people talking about it now on Twitter. And it says Eric Ten Hag has convinced Manchester United to spend extra money to sign Frenkie de Jong. Their representatives are expected to travel to Barcelona this week to try and complete his signing.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of
Hmm.
goes into what was going to be our
Let's
next
go to
topic
the next
anyway,
story now.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Marcel van der Kraan once again from the Telegraph last night saying Manchester United will try for Frenkie de Jong again. The player will be facing a thrilling final week in the transfer window. And again, I guess that kind of expands on what you were saying there. That's probably why he wrote that last night, is because Manchester United are going to send a delegation and improve their bid. Of course, we know the previous bid had expired or it was withdrawn, so they're going to make a new one. But it was kind of what we touched on last night with Ajax when he said, "Oh, why wouldn't you pay the extra money, or why wouldn't you improve the offer if you're going to get him? If you're going to spend 100 million on João Felix, why wouldn't you just say 100 million to Barcelona for Frenkie de Jong?" And it's quite interesting because I think there's a bit of a misconception around that. It's not a case of what we are offering to Barcelona. Barcelona accepted an offer from Manchester United. The issue that delayed it was Frenkie de Jong's wages and also his desire to join Manchester United. If Barcelona say to Frenkie de Jong tomorrow, Man United have paid 100, or they've put in 100 million pounds for you, we've accepted it. His response, in my opinion, will be the same that it was when Manchester United had a 80 million euro deal agreed with Barcelona. It'll still be, well, I want to stay here. He played last night. He didn't play very well, but he played last night. In his mind's eye, he'll be thinking, wow, that seems to me like I'm staying. And I am really cautious, Flex. I know we are in the mud at the moment. I know we desperately need a player like Frenkie de Jong. I know what the We Talk Ajax guys were saying last night, where they're saying there just aren't many people like him around, and he'd be so good for Manchester United. And I think about the midfield partnership of Casemiro and Frenkie de Jong. That'd be a proper partnership. But does this player still want to come? And do we really want to get back involved with Barcelona again, knowing what is going to happen again? And that is my concern. Even though I would love to have Frenkie de Jong at the club, with 10 days left, do you really think he's going to join Manchester United? Do you think he's going to make this big U-turn and leave Barcelona at this stage? He has held it out for so long, and he's playing. It's not as if he's frozen out as well, so he doesn't have to worry about the World Cup spot. Do you really think he would join us?
Well, that's the thing. The answer is no. No, I do not. This is a completely different situation to earlier in the window. This is a completely different situation to when we first bid so long ago now. It seems like, what was it? I think it's over 100 days ago or something like that.
You were in
Um,
Amsterdam. You were in Amsterdam
exactly.
when the link first
So
came out. Yeah.
exactly. So the way I see it is this, right? You could try and tempt Frenkie de Jong again and put more money, which again, money wasn't the case in terms of for
No.
Barcelona. They'll accept whatever bid we put as long as we don't put less than last time. That's the easy bit. But I watched Frenkie de Jong last night. First half was awful. Second half was a lot better because and then Dembele scored and Sufati scored. They were just much better. And in all the celebrations, that they had with the goals, Frenkie de Jong was running over there in the huddle and just looked really, really happy. And I
Yeah.
know football can change things. And you know what? If in 10 days' time we did get him, I would say, wow, just like the Casemiro thing, I was wrong on that when I thought he'd never come.
Me too.
I'll admit it then and say, wow, I can't believe we've got him. Unbelievable. But I can't see it. And that is a massive, massive, massive risk to Manchester United because, okay, cool, you've gone and bought 6 in Casemiro. And now we're saying we need that. We still need a player like Frenkie de Jong to play alongside Casemiro, which is true. You either go in for Tillemans or Neves or somebody else attainable now and start working on that deal now, um, or you wait and you chance it and end up not getting him again. My personal feeling is move on. De Jong ain't coming, and I have to say this with the track record of Murto and Co going out there, look
What
like
does
just
that
a
do?
jolly boys outing.
What
Looks
does
like they
that
might
do?
just, you know what I mean? But looks like they just they want to just go out there again and have some sangria and some paella or something. I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So for me, I think leave it, move on. Clearly we should have moved on a long time ago.
That's
like
my
a lot of people
concern.
were saying.
That's my concern.
And
The
you can't make
definition
the
of
same mistake
insanity.
twice. Yeah.
Exactly. Definition of insanity. Our transfer window, if you're going to reflect on it, I know the window hasn't shut yet, but if you're going to reflect on it, you would say a massive mistake in our transfer window was dedicating so much time to the pursuit of one player that ultimately didn't want to join Manchester United. If we do that again, and we did that for what, 3 months? If we do that again for the final 10 days of the window, and then we miss out when we could have got a Ruben Neves or a Tielemans because we were pursuing that same player again, and we went into it knowing what was going to happen, that is madness. That is absolute madness. But that again, you talked about the protests, you spoke about all the events going on this evening. That's part of all of it, encapsulates all of it, doesn't it? You know, and it is not frustrating, isn't the right word, but you get a signing like Casemiro, that is a great signing, but you're almost like, well, it doesn't feel right to talk about signings, does it? You know, or transfers or be excited for them because it's still the prevailing issue is the ownership. I said it before, the biggest transfer we want are the Glazers out the club. I would be happy if we signed nobody, you know, even in the whole transfer window, but we got the owners out because long term, I know that would be beneficial for Manchester United. These
Mm.
signings might be great this season, but long term, does it really mean that much when you still got the same people in charge? Ultimately, no. So that's why nights like tonight are still really important.
Yeah, they are. They really are massive. And I just, thi- I just think, even on that, it's gone a little bit quiet in terms of news and updates coming out regarding that ownership thing. I think that's going to happen a lot
Yeah.
over the next, however, and it's up to us to keep it at the forefront where we can, and that's going to start with tonight. I think it's going to be a really loud, peaceful demonstration done in the right way, a really poignant moment, a really good, organized protest, of which on social media I will share some of the stuff that I think the 1958 have put up about the kind of proper arrangements of it. I'll share that on social media as well. Make sure you guys check out our social media accounts. You can see that. But I just feel that going into the last 10 days, that's alarm bells hearing us going in for Frenkie de Jong again.
Yeah.
Alarm bells. It's not like, do you know what? He's been left out of the match day squad a couple of times, They don't want to get him injured. Nah, don't have that feel to it, mate. This ain't an
Yeah.
Antony. This ain't an Antony where the guy's pushing and pushing and pushing as arcs not to be involved. His head's clearly in Manchester. Right now, you could argue Antony's head is in Manchester. He
Yeah.
said
And
it to
you
the
see,
manager.
yeah.
I'm not fit to play, or my mind's not right. He's already saying that the manager, he hopes that the club don't sell him, etc., etc. Completely different circumstances. That is not De Jong. It's
No.
not.
And it never has been. You know,
No.
it's never has been. He's been in training. He's been on tour. He's in the match day squad. It's not as if even when he was playing in, preseason when he was centre back and people said, oh, maybe you won't be happy with playing centre back. He played midfield. Played midfield last night for Barcelona.
Yeah.
I don't. If he and again back to my point, if he held it out this long and his intention was I'm going to dig my heels in and I'm going to stay, he played last night. He must be thinking I've got 10 days left and then I can see this one out because I just don't see it. And I am also done with that argument of, well, what have United heard? Have United heard something? Maybe they heard something from De Jong. I don't think they heard anything from De Jong. Maybe they did really, really early on, and De Jong continuously just keeps calling Barca's bluff. We'll threaten legal action. Go on then. You're
Yeah.
still getting
That's what I mean.
picked.
Just stay
You
there.
want
Just
you're not gonna go on preseason tour. Go on then. He goes on preseason tour. You're not gonna play. He started last night.
Yeah. Because
It's all
Xavi
in his
likes
hands.
him and he knows
Yeah.
that. That's why economically, Xavi's been pretty clear on it, which is I want the player to stay. I really like Frenkie. He's amazing for us. But economically, we have to wait and happen. That's because Xavi has to go off the direction of the porter, of the board, of the shareholders, they're in a difficult position where he can't guarantee players can stay. But what he
Mhm.
can do is give his opinion on them, and he gave a strong opinion on him, and he's backing it up. He's picking him. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So for
And he's
football
registered.
reasons, he's always going to play, and he's registered. So for football reasons, he's always going to want to play him if he's available.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And De Jong, so again, from De Jong's point of view, he goes, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to sign a new contract. I'm registered. My contract is what it is. There is pen on paper. If you really want to go down that route of, oh, it was, there was criminality involved, fine, prove it. But I'll still get the paycheck every single week and you'll still play me like I did last night. And United have to look at that and say, we have got 10 days left. We do not have 3 months left to get a complicated deal done. We have 10 days left to get simple deals done. Casemiro turned out to be a simple deal because the player wanted the move. If the player doesn't want the move, look at all of the other targets we're looking at the moment, Flex. They all want to come to Manchester United.
Yeah, it's just the club's
What
got to get sorted with it.
in 10 days, we feel like we can convince De Jong when we couldn't in 3 months. That is crazy.
Although that would be the most Manchester United thing ever, if we did. Someone said in the
700K a
comments,
week.
yeah, just have it. Someone said in the comments, Flex, this could come back to bite you. I hope it does.
Oh, I
I
hope
hope
we
it
get
does
him. Yeah,
because I want Frenkie
100%.
de Jong.
Can you
I
imagine
really want Frenkie de Jong.
midfield
Yeah,
two of Casemiro and Frenkie de Jong? Of course you would want them,
yeah.
but I have not seen anything
Nah,
this
I haven't.
entire window.
And that's after receiving reassurances, from sources that have said to us, we're still at the table. Obviously, we wouldn't be at the table if we hadn't received some indications, some positive signs. But it's a complex situation. That's been the line from a lot of sources at the club. So, especially when you're told that, and in all that time you don't convince him, then the bid gets expired, and then you think, right, clearly just move on. The guy started pre-season. For Eric Ten Hag, if that, obviously it's one report, so we can't take it as gospel, but let's just, for discussion purposes, go off that report. For Eric Ten Hag to still convince them to go back in, who's going to push back and say, Eric, mate, I know you wanted him. I know, like we literally did everything, which they did, like they did do. You can't fault them for that. Like they hung around till the fucking bid expired.
Yeah, they
Like
literally
the
milk in the
maximum
fridge. They
time.
literally, they went,
They
come on,
didn't go for other targets. They didn't
Yeah.
go for other targets and waited to even put us in this mess in the first place. So in terms of that, Eric Ten Hag's been backed in terms of chasing the number one target. And fair enough, there was a large point of that time frame where we were like, you know what, the manager wants him. Let's wait it out. There's still time. It's fine. It's early in the window. Okay, it's fine. It's midway through the window. Oh, okay, it's not fine anymore. It's 10 days left, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? Who's going to push back a little bit and say, Eric, I think we might need to look elsewhere, man, or try and get him in January and go and get a cheaper option now, bolster the squad, buy another midfielder now for like 20, 30 million. Then in January, we'll try and go back with Frank. Something, but we ain't getting him.
No, we are not getting him.
We ain't getting him.
For the benefit of our season, we have to move on, because you could argue the pursuit of Frenkie de Jong has already cost us in some aspects. I'm not saying if we'd had already signed de Jong, we'd have, we definitely wouldn't have lost to Brighton or Brentford. But you could argue that pursuit of de Jong and holding those funds there and not spreading them around to other players has cost us. It has, because we went into the season short. That's not on de Jong. That's on Manchester United. But the point is that with 10 days left, when I mentioned there's 5 positions you could recruit for, this sort of focus on one just doesn't seem viable at this point in time. And who knows, you might be able to revisit after the World Cup or next season, but it just doesn't look like it's now.
No, it doesn't. Let's get through the super chat. Smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are on 118k as well, which we hit yesterday. So
yes,
big up to you guys. That mini road to 120, I'd say. Let's round it up with the road to 120k. Let's see if we can do that within the next couple of weeks or so. That'd be amazing. And remember, you can join the United View Members Club as well, as Witterbird has done. She has joined. She is the latest member of the United View Members Club, so big up to her. Anthony B says United already is a joke club with their comical summer. Sorry. Do you fans really want to dig a bigger hole and do this protest? Nothing is going to change. United will just continue overpaying, which I laughed at. It feels like it's a fan from another club. Absolutely should be protesting. We have to. Got to make your voices heard, especially that. What's the saying? Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, and the stars have lined up, haven't they? It's the biggest game of the season. It's Monday Night Football. The world quite literally is watching. You are the only game on in England tonight. It really is the perfect time, isn't it? It truly is. On top of all of this stuff about the ownership stuff and consortiums being interested in Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And as we spoke about before, I don't think it's right for us to tell you how to protest or anything like that. If you want to enter the stadium and you want to hold up a banner, go for it. If you want to not go in the stadium and stand outside Old Trafford, go for it. If you can't make it to the ground because you're around the country, but you want to put something on social media, go for it. If you're around the world and you just want to contribute by saying Glazers out or Sir Jim Ratcliffe in or whatever, as you said before, Flex, right? It's maximum exposure. It's, it's make people keep the conversation going, but also make a statement. The world is watching.
100%, that needs to be the message on a person. That's what I think. So to answer your question, I think yes, we do want to protest. Dr says, Flex, what happens when Casemiro gets injured? Back to McTominay and Fred settings, isn't it? I mean, we're trying to build. I mean, yes, one thing is bringing in a player like Casemiro. I don't even think we've got to that step yet of bringing in a replacement for Casemiro who can be an
No.
understudy yet. We haven't even got that far yet. We're trying to work on plan A and getting a squad with quality players in it, and we have to sort out the forward line, potentially another right back. So yeah, another midfielder as well, like an attacking midfielder or a progressive midfielder, a number 8 type, a Frenkie de Jong type. We need that before we need backup to Casemiro. So to answer your question, what happens when he gets injured? McTominay and Fred settings. Or if we do get Frenkie de Jong or someone like that, a them and Fred settings, or a them and McTominay Fred settings, or something
Yeah.
like that. Is what I think. Do you agree with that, Owen? Basically,
What
that's
happens
it,
when
isn't it?
what happens when any signing gets injured? I
Yeah,
think is
exactly.
it's just par for the course, isn't it? I saw Wijnaldum went to Roma, broke his leg,
Oh,
fractured his
yeah, I
tibia or
saw
something
that.
like that.
Yeah, that's
And
unlucky.
that's just it's bad luck, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's the risk you take
same
when
with
you
Jay.
buy anyone.
What's the guy at Villa done it?
Yeah,
Carlos.
ruptured his Achilles.
Out. Unbelievable. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really, really touch wood that doesn't happen to any of our signings. Vincent Brown, thank you for the contribution. And Prine says, if we continue to buy so many players and not sell anyone, do you think some of these big name players, after being on the bench for 1 to 2 games, will start moaning and increase the toxicity in the team?
they shouldn't. They shouldn't,
Exactly.
because you
Exactly.
look at other clubs. You look at people like City. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Josh about who I was going to put in my fantasy team. I didn't know whether it was going to be Grealish or Foden or Mahrez, because I
Yeah,
was
I've
like,
got to change that. Grealish has been a bad thing for
yeah,
me. I've
because
got
I
to
was
get rid
like,
of
I don't know
Mahrez.
who's going to start. But the problem is,
Yeah.
going week to week, at least 2 of them are probably going to be on the bench, and I don't think they're moaning about it. Granted, they're in a squad that's winning things, but if you're a big player and you're on the bench, chances are it's because you're not playing well. If you're playing well, you'll play, especially at a club like Manchester United where there isn't strength in depth. If these players come in, Antony Gakpo and Sancho and Rashford go on the bench, and they're like, I'm on the bench. It's like, well, there's a reason why you're on the bench. You're not playing well. If you play well, you'll play.
Yeah.
So, again, that has to be some form of accountability, I think, with that.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And V-Time Media Production says, can you please wish my son Jesse a happy birthday? Jesse, put in the comments how old he is as well. Not sure how old you are today, but a massive happy birthday to you, my
Happy
guy.
birthday.
Have a great day. And hopefully your dad, or that could be your mum. Hopefully your parents have got you some nice stuff and you're having a nice day. So big up, and hopefully Man United can bring you 3 points. I'm assuming your parents have you supporting Manchester United, because they're here on the channel. So
Yes.
I'm assuming that they are. And if they're not, hopefully you have a good day regardless, bro. So have a great day. I'm sure the community will wish Jesse a happy birthday as well. That is lovely. And Giselle Planet says, happy Casemiro, Antony, and protest day, everyone. Yeah, that's definitely what it is today. Speaking of Casemiro Day, Owen, we move on to the next one. People smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you've forgotten to do so, or you're new to the channel. Unveiling him today.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, actually, Flex. So Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic is reporting this morning that Casemiro will be introduced to Manchester United fans in the same way that Raphael Varane was introduced last summer against Leeds in front of a packed stadium. Casemiro will also wear the number 18 shirt, which, of course, was worn by Paul Scholes during his time there. How do you feel? Because I've got quite strong feelings about this, about Casemiro being introduced tonight in front of the Old Trafford faithful, most likely before the Liverpool game.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just gonna refresh in a sec. Actually, you take that question. I'm just gonna refresh. I'm
Okay.
just gonna refresh. Cool.
Well, I have strong opinions on it because I feel like I heard that news and I felt really sorry. I felt really bad for Casemiro, because talk about unveiling someone in possibly the most hostile environment possible. Yes. I mean, I don't know what the crowd. I don't think anyone knows what the crowd's going to look like tonight at Old Trafford. My assumption is, even though there has been a movement to be like, oh, empty Old Trafford, I think it will still probably be near enough sold out. It's still Liverpool at home, but that atmosphere is going to be hostile. And is that really? The thing is, when people talk about spin and PR and stuff like that, that's when you say like that. Just read the room. Tonight's not the night. Tonight's not the night to unveil your new signing. I'm like everyone else happy that we've signed Casemiro, but from his perspective, I just look at it and go, can you imagine if he's out there and people will clap him and stuff like that, but there'll still be people there that their main focus is to hold up banners and say, Glazers, get out of our club. And what must he think when he walks
Yes.
into that? I just
What
look at
must
that and
I,
goes, well, that is such. I feel that's so harsh on him.
it
Basically,
is.
why
It
put
is.
him
It is.
in that firing line?
But one thing about our fans, though, and I know this, there is no way in hell that they boo not him, but trying to boo the Glazers to say don't pacify with this signing. If he
Yeah.
rolls out onto the pitch waving, there's a respect thing there of the fans that you're one of our own. So that he won't get booed. Like the reception for Casemiro, if they roll him out in a suit like they did with Varane and do that, will be loud and correct, and they will clap. Don't get me wrong. What I think could happen is they do that, then he walks back in, then it's we want Glazers out. So we
See,
want
I
Glazers
didn't
out.
even
You know,
know. I didn't even know there was that flex though, because I think there might be some people that again, and this won't be directed at Casemiro per se, but if they're going, because they might be upset at the play here, as if you know what I mean by don't bring him out, don't try and
yeah.
distract us, don't try and do that, and then how does that reflect on Casemiro?
I just
Again,
think
it's
they
just
have a. I just think
it's
they have the break. I think they have like a literally like give him the clap to give him the respect. Like you're a new Man United player, we will get behind you. You're one of us.
mm,
But very very quickly, very very quickly get back to what it was. So before the unveiling, because he hasn't walked out yet, it's going to be a lot of Glazers out chants and stuff like that, um, and I just think there'll be a pause. However, do you know what I was thinking though, and just there's so many scenarios that can happen. It's fascinating today,
yeah, that's what
actually.
I mean.
Now
And
I'm
you
thinking
look at
about it.
that, it's
What I
just
was what I was thinking is, I look at the Red Army section that's just above the tunnel, big section in the corner. Obviously, I think the 1958 group and some others have been at the forefront of empty Old Trafford, and well, to be fair, they've been at the forefront of protesting today.
yeah.
I don't want to cross pollinate and say what certain fan groups have done
No,
versus the other. That's not my
and it
place,
must be
but
stressed by legal means as well, also as well.
100%, 100%. It's very organized and peaceful. It'd be interesting to see what that section of the fan base does. Like, will I just see a whole load of red seats because they're part of the hashtag empty Old Trafford situation where they believe that's the best thing to do? Or would they be, like I said, in that section, being vocal, being loud, huge banners to get the attention in terms of get the cameras on this. We're not happy with the Glazers. Look at this massive ban, like, because that's what I was talking about. Like, that's almost as powerful, if not more. If everybody in the stadium, because it's being
Mm.
broadcast, imagine there were banners all around the ground, every tier,
And
every
that's what I mean.
section,
That's what
and
I
all
mean.
you could see was a sea of banners that was just Glazers out, green and gold, everything. As opposed to just don't be in the stadium. They can equally send both messages. So I think it's gonna be fascinating to see just in that section of the ground what it's going to be like.
No, I agree. And again, both scenarios, if it's empty or if there's banners everywhere and chanting, why would you bring a new player out into that? That to me is putting the player firmly in the firing line. And the fact that we're having this discussion of, what's the reaction going to be? Are the fans going to clap him because they back the players? It's not the players' fault, but or are they also going to react negatively because they see the play here and what you're trying to do? Or are they just going to be so laser focused on getting their voices heard in the protest that it doesn't really matter who gets brought out, just the game doesn't matter, so that reaction is going to be what it is. The fact that we're discussing all of these hypothetical scenarios, why doesn't someone at the club just go, you know what, it's just not the right time to bring the player out? Actually, they've
Mm,
got PR and communication people, like they would, and they'll be having these discussions like we are. And I find it surprising that they feel like, well, maybe I don't find it surprising, but they feel like that will galvanize the crowd. Like no one's not happy about signing Casemiro, or at least people, I think the majority probably are saying, oh, Casemiro's a good signing. But as we spoke about earlier on, it's the case of it doesn't distract us. It doesn't distract anyone from the major problem or the biggest issue. And I feel bad for Casemiro already. He hasn't
yeah,
even
just
put the
coming into
shirt
that
on.
mess.
And
Yeah,
he's put into a really difficult situation that frankly, he probably doesn't know a ton about anyway. Eric Ten Hag
no,
was asked about it in the press conference. They said, what are your thoughts about the protests, whatever? And he said, well, obviously his interactions with the owners have been what they are. They pay his salary. And also he said too, I've only been here a few weeks, so I don't really understand all of it. And that's not his fault. So
no.
Casemiro, who would have been a Man United player for like a day, he won't understand the full gravity of the situation. If he walks out and there's hostility, or there might even be some booing, not towards him, but towards, again, the act of bringing him onto pitch to pacify the fans. That's so harsh and unfair on him.
And I
He
saw a little
he
bit
does
as
not
well
deserve to be
about.
dragged into that.
I saw a little bit about like people were getting a bit like, oh, because the press conference when Ten Hag, oh, should have been a bit stronger there. I was saying about the Glazers.
What's he gonna say?
What on earth do you want him to do? Who comes
Exactly.
out? Who comes out and criticizes their employers directly? And especially when you're this new to the club, 2 games in, you're never going to
Exactly.
get Eric Ten Hag saying, the fans absolutely should be protesting against the owners. It's been far too long that this club's been rubbish. What do you want him to say?
Exactly.
You got to be a little bit flexible. And it wasn't loads of people saying that, but I just thought, come on, guys, are you really expecting Eric Ten Hag to out the Glazers in a press conference?
Yeah,
It's never
100%.
gonna
Like
happen.
I did the press conference reaction, and when he said, sometimes when you're watching something and you go, I know what the reaction is going to be to this by
Yeah,
some people, and I just thought, like, again, one, you have to remember, two, his English still is improving, right? So sometimes he might not pick the best words. Two, again, they sign his paychecks. He's not going to come out and go, oh, these owners are rubbish. They're terrible. I know. I can't wait till they go as well. What's he going to do? And three, as he mentioned, he's only been in the club a couple of months. I don't think he truly understands the 15-year history of how the Glazers have slowly broken down Manchester United. He might have a grand, he might have the broad overview, the broad strokes of really what's going on. And I'm sure he was told before he did the press conference by the press officer or the press liaison of, you'll probably get asked about the protests, blah, blah, blah. But what's he supposed to say? Really, what is he supposed to say? So I'm with you. I thought that, any sort of outcry about that was ridiculous. But thankfully, didn't see a ton of it, it must be said. But again, going back to the Casemiro thing tonight, I go, just don't bring him out.
yeah.
Just don't. It's not the right time. It's not the game to do it.
No, and in pushing on that, I don't think there's going to be a time anytime recent. Just announce it on the social media and put the
Yeah,
pictures up.
just have him play the game.
Just announce him, and just let his announcement is he's in the team and he's starting, and his warm up.
Yeah.
It's the first time you see him in
Yeah,
person.
it won't be. I mean, I know they want the similar scenes like Varane last season, but
Yeah, it ain't that.
in retrospect, it just looks foolish last season with the Varane thing. Yes, it was a great moment. He came out and the crowd cheered him, and he met Rio Ferdinand on the halfway line, and Rio Ferdinand said, like, basically take the mantle.
You're going to be the next me.
You're the next centre back. Rah rah rah. And fast forward a year later, he might play instead of Harry Maguire tonight, and he hasn't played a lot of games because he was injured. It just looks silly in retrospect, And again, that was when.
Don't jinx it. Yeah.
So yeah, just don't. It's not the time. Read the room.
Yeah.
If there was ever a time to read the room, it's tonight. Everyone just wants him to be in training and then play the next game. This whole parade out the pitch. No, not the time.
Vicky says, "Hey guys, any news on outgoings, especially Phil Jones?" Thanks for the super chat there, Vicky. We kind of spoke about that.
Sorry,
a little bit
Fleck.
earlier.
I have to interrupt you. Yeah, pitch invasion settings. Yeah, I'm gonna put a poll up. Yeah, for decisions of life. Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh, you're actually there. Oh.
Casemiro with an I or Casemiro with an E. Yeah.
Well, Casemiro with an E is right, but also Carlos Casemiro is right too.
That's his name. That's his birth
That's
name.
his full name.
Yeah.
That's his birth
the
name.
E
Yeah.
was a spelling mistake, and he just went, whatever.
What does he put on his back of his shirt though?
So in the poll, in the chat.
Okay.
Run, Josh, run. Yeah, Casemiro with an E is correct, but Carlos Casemiro with an I is also correct. Because we put out a graphic and people said, you got it wrong. And it was like, no, Google searched it. Josh doesn't get anything wrong, ever.
Yeah.
So, no. And he terrified me when he came in there. I didn't know who that was.
Yeah. He's just like, what the fuck? Who is that?
Yeah.
Mate, I don't give a shit what's on his shirt as long as he just plays well. Whatever, with an I, with an E. An I before an E, except for a C, whatever the rule is in the English thing. Whatever, I don't care. Just play good.
Yeah.
Just play well, please.
Don't get injured. Yeah.
Don't get injured and play all the games, please. And Aobes says, if these signings were done a month ago, I would be excited. But right now, I'm disgusted. Apollo pulled out, which is good. We need to keep pushing. We do. And the poll is up. Is it an I or is it an E? Moving on. What have we got next? We've got the signings. 4 more signings.
Yes, this comes from the Telegraph. Jason Burt said Manchester United are hoping to complete 4 more signings during this transfer window, which we kind of touched on earlier. Do you actually see that happening? Do you see 4? I mean, let's say Antony.
4 more. What was Casemiro part of that, or 4 more
No,
from this point?
no, 4 from this point.
Oh,
So
nah.
let's
No,
say
no, no,
Antony.
no.
Let's say Cody Gakpo.
No.
Are we going to commit to another midfielder?
No. Three tops. Three
Because
tops.
when I saw this, I put out a tweet at Owen United View. I've started tweeting a little bit more, Fleck.
Yeah,
I'm
you
I'm
have.
trying.
Getting
I'm
a bit
trying.
active on there.
You're getting a bit opinionated. Oh,
Yeah.
look at me. It's all going to my head.
What are you, the latest in the know?
Well, I don't want to.
You
I don't
said
want
it
to say.
first.
Yeah, I break stories.
Okay.
I've got inside sources. I don't.
Okay.
It's usually just poor grammar and pictures. But I said that I could see max, honestly, 2, really. I see the 2 wingers, but what are the other deals that get done quickly? Who are we linked with?
Well, it'll be something like the Casemiro one that wasn't linked with him from and then out of the blue. It just went boom.
Possibly.
It'd
Maybe
have
a
to be
right
something
back.
like that.
Maybe a right
Yeah.
back, I guess.
You
Wan-Bissaka,
really want to
maybe.
see another midfielder, man. We've got
Yeah.
to. We've got to see another midfielder.
Yeah. But I don't know who that would be at this point.
No. Late Tillemans, late Neves.
Maybe.
Like that. Late doors. Is it something like that? Kept it on the back burner. That was one of the alternatives because Casemiro was clearly kept on the alternatives list and then activated quickly, and then we got him, which again is just so annoying because you're like, why not just have done that before? Casemiro is a top draw player. Surely you would have wanted him from before, not as a last solution.
So maybe there are these names on the list that we don't know about. Then I guess
think there definitely is. There definitely is.
That is the only, I guess, good thing to happen in the last 7 days is that we have seen that there could be these players on the list rather that we could do fairly quickly. But then also you could say, but Casemiro is really the first deal. I mean, Malacia was what it was, but Casemiro is the first big deal that we've done quickly. And the fact that you would say, well, we've got to do 4 of them in 7 days or in 10 days. I just don't see it.
But it might not all be big though. They might. I mean, the types of players. One could be like random player from French league that we don't really know much about. Or Portuguese player, or do you know what I mean? Like the goalkeeper. Yeah, they won't. I don't think they'll be. I think Casemiro is the biggest type of player we'll get.
Not the biggest fee though.
No, not the biggest fee. That's going to be Antony if we get him. And what? Do you think Antony will come? Do you think they'll give in? Because like I
think
said
so.
yesterday, there's a price that the club just can't say no to if they put 100 down on the table.
I think I think at this point they have come so far in it that 80 million euros was ridiculous, and I think they'll probably just go, you know what, screw it. They're desperate. They're desperate, and Antony and his agents are clearly trying to force that move through. Again, they don't have meetings with Ziyech without the idea of that could happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
and from their perspective, talk about great transfer business.
Oh,
because
Jesus!
Sell a player for 100 million euros and buy Ziyech, what would cost him for like 8 million.
And they've got money in the bank. They've got their team sorted. We keep that money in the bank till January. See what's going on.
The profit that they'll keep from it. And as we talk, guys were saying last night, like they're like, actually, we're very happy to get Ziyech.
I'll tell you what, Owen. That is when you pay out dividends. That's when you go, you know what? As a result of everyone doing so well and operating in the best way for the football club, and we're champions, and we've got players out and refreshed the squad, and we go again, and we've won our couple of games. You know what? As a result, everyone gets your little bonus. That's in a normal working world. That's when you get rewarded. When you're meeting your targets, you're superseding your targets. We've made more money. We've been more successful. Here's an extra 5 million each, guys. Go on, treat the family. That's when you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Again, you look at that business, and that's why I think United will pay that money because we're desperate, we're panicking, and these big fees. Like clearly, more money has been made available in terms of the budget, not the Glazers' money, but more money from that Man United has generated has been made available because some of the figures that are being talked about is like we could spend like 200 million euros in the space of 10 days. Like United are going all guns blazing. That's what they said, right? All guns blazing. So I think at this point, I think, I said it a million times, but the panic has really set in. They are like, oh shit, we need to buy people, whatever it takes, because have United, since Sir Alex left, I don't think we've had back-to-back seasons where we haven't been in the Champions League, right? I think it's been like every other season.
Yeah, every other, I would say.
Yeah, it's never been 2 years, but
no.
This is probably the first time that you would go, actually, 2 years is a real possibility. a real possibility. And from the Glazers' perspective, that's what hurts them the most. 2 years without that Champions League money, that 2 years turns into 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even a bit longer. And then that's when money really starts to become tight. So that's why I think this money's been made available.
Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Just a quick update on the poll. I think it's unanimous. We should be spelling Casemiro with an E instead of an I. 68% of you are saying that you agree it's spelled with an E. 32% of you are saying it should be spelled with an I. So we can actually end that poll, which I'll do right now. That is a unanimous decision. And JJ Ash, thanks for the super chat, says, big up Flex, top footy analysis, and enjoy watching the shows from the UAE. But as a Gooner, I just love it in capitals if you had a 4-0 thrashing tonight. Well, you shouldn't want that, JJ Ash. What you should want is for Man United to win the game because, according to Arsenal fans, obviously, you know, you're top of the league, you're going to win the league, and Liverpool are your rivals. You shouldn't want them to win. You should want the bottom of the league relegation fodder to beat one of the teams that are going to threaten you for the title, Arsenal fans. So big up, JJ. But I think you need to realign your prediction there. It would be much better if Man United got a 4-0 thrashing and your title rivals in Liverpool suffer a damaging defeat and go below Manchester United.
Did you say title rivals and Arsenal in the same sentence, Fleck?
Well, I'm just going off what Arsenal fans say. They're top of the league.
All right.
Polar opposite since last year.
Look,
3 games, 3 wins, top
first
of the
time
league.
they've won the first 3 games, isn't it, since 04-05? Very impressive stuff. Who have they beaten? Who have they beaten?
They've beaten their opponents, mate. That's all they needed to do. Liverpool couldn't beat Fulham, couldn't beat Palace. Let's see. So, you know, to Arsenal fans, they're entitled to say it. They're going to win the league.
Who have United beaten? No one.
Exactly. So you shouldn't want us to keep getting smashed. You should want Liverpool to lose. But anyway, Shavam says, Man United, no 5th, 6th and 7th signing. IG story on Man United page. I'm not sure what's happened there. What is there something you've seen on the Man United stories page where there's like a space for 3 extra players or something? And Shavam says that was on Man United's official Instagram story a few days ago. What was that? There's a space for the 5th, 6th, and 7th where it's blank or something. I'm guessing you probably mean that. I'm not too sure, but thank you for the info. And Bailly loan is close to finish off. He's close to exiting the club.
Yes, Fabrizio Romano tweeting this morning, Eric Bailly deal will be decided this week. Marseille and Manchester United have a full agreement on loan with a buy obligation clause in case of UEFA Champions League qualification for next season, but personal terms are not yet currently agreed, so there will be a mandatory obligation to buy if they qualify for the Champions League. This final decision is expected soon from Marseille and Bailly's camp. I think it was also reported that they will be covering Bailly's wages, so essentially he would be out the door at Manchester United once this loan gets agreed, because Marseille would be covering the wages and there would be this obligation to buy if Marseille qualify for the Champions League, which I hope, or I think that they would. So that would be an outgoing flex, which I know people are big fans of Eric Bailly. I speak to a lot of opposition fans that are fans of Eric Bailly, but his fitness record is what it is. He's been at the club for 6 years, played barely over 100 games in all competitions, which is incredible.
That's crazy.
But if we're going to be making these signings with 10 days to go, we need to be getting people out of the club, do we not?
Yeah, that's part of, moving people on who are surplus, and you might not agree that he doesn't play instead of Harry Maguire, etc., etc. But what you can definitely unanimously say is, even if we made him our number 1 centre back, regardless of footballing ability and how you think he plays, the injuries, he just will get injured. He's just not proved it since he's been here, so he's got, and for his own good, if you like Eric Bailly, which I do, he deserves to go and play. He deserves to go and play. So yeah, I can see that one happening. And Witterbird says, how is Jones not loaned out? She says, how is he still here? How has he not been loaned out? There's literally been nothing on Phil Jones.
That's what I mean. That's how he stays.
It's crazy.
He just
always under the radar.
Yeah,
he's not even in training, is he? I haven't even seen him in, I don't know.
Well, Samuel Lucas said he showed up the other day, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did say that.
He was, Phil Jones. I don't know. But his situation, ironically, I'm not saying Phil Jones is the same as Frenkie de Jong, but his situation is the same in the sense of he doesn't have to go anywhere. He's like, well, I signed a 5-year deal in, was it 2019, which is ludicrous, but he signed a 5-year deal. Don't need to go anywhere. So he can do, that's why he's turning down deals. He's got family, I'm sure, that's very settled in that area. I believe he's got, kids too that go to school. And again, people will look at it and go, well, what about your drive to play football and all this kind of stuff? I don't know if he particularly feels like he wants to move, to be honest.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
that's Man United's fault. That's Man United's fault. They are living with their past sins on that one.
Yeah.
Because what's he going to do? He's not playing the World Cup or anything like that.
No.
So, you know,
Yeah.
he's just going to stick how it is.
Yeah. He's got to get a move and do something. But I know he's been through a lot. You know, when you hear him talking on one of the interviews he had, how tough it's been, and then you saw the emotion in when he played against Wolves and we lost, and he was still emotional,
well.
crying, and played well. So yeah, I think it's not about like abusing him or anything. You just want the guy to just try and find his career again somewhere, and do the right thing. We've come to the end of the show. There was just a quick tweet I wanted to read out actually.
Yes.
Someone just put it underneath. In the responses to something I put up earlier. It's from Paul Walker at Paul Weller. He says, I agree with the protests, but they need to be kept peaceful. It only makes us look stupid if people start smashing things up and breaking in to get into the stadium again. So I just wanted to kind of finish off on that note. Thank you, Paul Weller. Don't know if he's watching the show now, but it was just a reminder. If you are going to the game today, if you are going to the protest today, do it in the right way. I will share the poster. I think that the 1958 have done about instructions, locations, the times, etc., the logistics of it, so everyone can be on the same hymn sheet if you're a bit confused. And it's very, very important. I think what Paul says there in that tweet, just don't allow the Glazers to make an example of us. It needs to be the other way around. That's what we're trying to do to them. So let's not lose our composure and lose our heads, and do it in the right way. And I'm sure we can get the message across. Smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you to everyone who has sent in super chats and got involved in the live chat. And subscribe to the channel and become members. Thank you to all of you for watching. It's game day. It's game day. We'll have obviously the road trip coming up later on. We will have obviously Owen doing the match view with DJ, and make sure you guys keep those guys company. We will be live outside Old Trafford as well. Say live. We will be outside Old Trafford for the reaction after the game as well. And even in the lead up to that, I'm going to be doing some stuff in the build up with Sky Sports, Talk Sport, and ESPN as well. So if you're watching from around the world, there should be a little bit of everything for you guys to get a bit more United view out there in the mainstream as well. So look out for some hits on Sky Sports and listen out for some stuff on Talk Sport. And again, look out if you're across the other side of the world and ESPN is your main service provider. And that's how you watch your football. Then I'll be on there later on as well in lead up to the game. We're out of here, guys. Speak soon. See you then. Peace.